it doesn't mean, or it shouldn't mean that you forget about them. Have things been sorted? We've had a number of conversations with you when you've told us things are not looking so good. And lest we forget is what we are doing at this hour. Wanted to then be able to hear from you in terms of what's going on in your neck of the woods. And let's look across sectors. We gave some insight to that when we look at, some of the things that happen in the health sector. And this is maybe the second strong warning shot that has come from the Committee of Health, who've told us now that, apart from a system being unsustainable, that what we are looking at now is that it's very difficult for the country then to be able to deal with rising cancer cases because the prevention mechanisms are not strengthened or bolstered by resources. Now, when we talk about that, we're talking about screening. Mm-hmm. Screening is 50% of the job. If you don't have the proper screening mechanisms in place, it's very difficult. And we also know that cancer as a disease is largely treatable and managed, and that you can come from it if it's found early. So these are some of the conversations that we're having this morning. What is the situation where you are? We talk about a number of things, from education to health to the road network to things that in terms of services should actually be delivered to you. It's an opportunity for you to speak to us this morning, because lest we forget, while the politics takes center stage for the next 1 year, while all these things are being said, while money is being splashed around, because folks, it's going to happen. There's a lot of money that's going to be thrown into the system towards politics, towards elections, and it is not a Kenya unique thing. It happens everywhere around the world. So as that happens, to kind of take your attention away and focusing on the shiny things, we're saying this morning, lest we forget, there's still a lot of work to be done, and there's still a lot of attention that must be paid. First of all, lest we forget that county bosses play a significant role in running the country. And what we are fed is this circus that we see of people being chased and clothes being torn and others refusing to come before committees. Lest we forget that counties need to run. And this politics are sideshows, and it's taking people away from their core responsibility of making sure that the devolved units actually function. Lest we forget, you give your money to the counties. You Kenyans give your money to the counties. And we don't realize just how big of a role that is. You delegate your sovereignty, you give your representation to somebody else to then do the job. Now, when you see people running around like school children, chasing others back and forth because they declined to attend a committee which they are constitutionally bound to do, to explain what they did with public funds because you don't want to show up, I don't understand. Because you cannot tell me that, politics, because I want to do what and I'm on whose side, that is why they want me to come before the committee. Are you smoking something very potent? Because I don't understand. Why don't we just want to do the right thing? Lest we forget, the 2010 Constitution brought about these devolved units so that you could take development from a central place and you can move it around the country, and that you decentralize power, you decentralize the resources, and that in smaller bites you can develop these areas so that you can come together to be part of the bigger cake. Now, when you see these things that we see happening, because they're still not over it yet, and you find people saying, come on, just do your job, that's all we ask. This drama is not necessary. Lest you forget, the Constitution binds you, the resources that Kenyans give you also bind you, and just proper manners and good behavior binds you to then say, just come out and do your job. Lest you forget, the Constitution is what created these things that we're working around now. You have to then be able to be in a spot where you do what? Do your job.
Do your job.
We're just saying do your job. It doesn't look good. It's a poor showing at the moment, and I think we can actually do a lot better than that. We're going to hear from you on some of these other things as well. Dennis coming up with the next one, but 07321422650 or 07321422653. We'll hear from you this morning, and so that we can understand from your point of view, are there things that perhaps we have forgotten? We want to hear from you this morning. And so Lest We Forget gives us an opportunity to look into some of those matters and not keep them on the back burner, but bring them to the front so that they can be attended to. Somebody just sent me something and they said, lest we forget, this whole conversation about Nairobi began because we said that the city was swimming in filth and that it was terrible. The rains came and they washed many things away, including lives. But has that taken care of the Nairobi problem?
Nope.
Lest we forget. Lest we forget that the national government is now holding hands with the county government of Nairobi to then essentially be able to bring about some order in the city, light it up, clean it up, and make it work, literally. And as that has happened, the floods then came with the rain and maybe put some things on the back bench. Lest you forget, Nairobi still needs help. We're hearing from you this morning. 0732 142 653 or 0732 142 650. What's your take in terms of what's going on where you are? Yes, sir.
Lest you forget that the national and county governments are in charge of healthcare in the country. Lest you forget that Kenyans today are paying contributions to SHA for them to be able to access healthcare. Lest we forget that the very same Kenyans find it difficult to go to hospitals to access the very same services that they are paying for. We're not saying that those who out here say that SHA has worked for them, it's fine. But remember, like we keep on saying, that when you are in a factory and a single item, a single shot does not have, what do you call it, a button, what happens to that shot? It is condemned.
Yeah.
That means, even if it's 3 million Kenyans who are paying for SHA, if a single Kenyan is unable to access services, that system ceases to operate and to function as expected. As we speak today, we have stories of machines in hospitals that are not working. One asks the question, for Kenyans who are unable to access services because this machine has been down for the past 3 months, is really SHA, is really healthcare as stipulated in the Constitution that each and every single Kenyan has the right to healthcare in the country? Is it working for them? Lest we forget that over and over again we've been told that SHA is working. But we'll also not bury our heads under the sand and assume that we do not see the problems that do exist. Today, we ask the question, just how much was spent in setting up the system and why did we spend that much? Do we have answers as to why we had to take that direction? But now that we have the system in place, is it working?
Yeah.
Are the individuals who are running these offices able to come and tell us how exactly this system is working? Because it is one thing to give good reports. It's one thing to stand on podiums to tell us that it's working. But it is Kenyans who are accessing these services who will tell you the truth. They are the ones who will give you the report card on whether healthcare is working or whether it is not working. We talk about a healthcare system where we see billions and billions of shillings getting lost on a daily basis. One asks the question, Ndu, these billions that are getting lost, yet we are in a system where we see equipment not working, medication and drugs are not there, doctors are not paid in time, pending bills do exist to tunes of billions and billions in healthcare and many other services in the country. One asks the question, what exactly are we doing to ensure that Aseto, Ndu, and many other Kenyans access quality healthcare? Is it just on a manifesto and it remained there? But when it comes to implementation of the same is a zero. Lest we forget that Kenyans do deserve quality healthcare, not just on paper, but in the workings.
Yeah, and I think that we hear the alarm sounding. For some reason, we're not picking up the phone here because the committee talks about so many red flags that are popping up all over the place. And I'm just saying, if you spent 104 billion shillings to sort out the thing, it better work. It should actually work, and just beyond the money, that there's a duty of care that is necessary for the people. And I'm just going to go back to the Kenyatta National Hospital. Again, we're looking at East Africa's largest referral hospital, and that what they tried to do in some cases was decongest that hospital. Whereby they said in the health system, you have your level 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, of course, now 6. You don't want the person who has the sniffles going to Kenyatta.
Yes.
You don't want the person who needs a procedure done going to Kenyatta National Hospital. You want to keep, that's why there's referral in the name.
Yes.
You want to keep it for those cases where a lower level health facility is not able to achieve. But then again, the health system was poor in the sense that the 2, 3s, and 4s had, and in some cases 5s, had not been equipped enough, and I'm not just talking about equipment,
Yeah.
the hard machines, I'm talking about also with the staff that were needed, or with the medicines, unfortunately, in some case. But over time we see, and whether we like it or not, at the time when Omar Luga was
Yes.
working with NMS is when we saw that we had a lot more in terms of level 2, 3s then established around the city. Essentially what that would do is that it would remove people from going into the referral hospital, except for cases where they needed to do that. But in order to keep it running, we must put resources behind it. So when Dr. Davji Atela is here shouting and saying, we need to hire doctors, we need to hire medical staff, we need to keep these staff working and happy, because then we cannot deliver if we don't have it. When Dr. Nyekal tells you that we have a problem, when we're talking about cancer and it's starting to rise, and we need to actually improve our screening mechanisms, which essentially point to prevention, how are we doing that? In the week when the numbers of patients of oncology at Kenyatta National Hospital were really complaining because one of the LANIC machines was down, do you know what we were doing? We were talking about how we want to make sure that we save Nairobi Hospital, a private facility which is operating commercially, which is just down the road. That's what we were doing. And so we really have to get to the point where we say, what value have we placed? What value have we placed? This is the same Kenyatta National Hospital where people have been living for 7 years. People live in Kenyatta National Hospital. People go to town and come back and sleep in a hospital bed, and they're fed by the hospital. You think I'm joking? It's not a lie. So what can you actually do to raise the profile of health that we're talking about?
I mean, and it's when we have these discussions and these conversations, no one here wants to paint the public negative or wants to paint the government negative. We're just asking the questions that must be asked. Because for a very long time it's been said that the media is negative. No. We are here to highlight that which is not working, and we're here as well to highlight that which is working. So here is a question where, if now we're talking about the cancer patients who are unable to access services from these hospitals, what does that mean to them? That they have to dig deeper to access these services in private facilities. Because remember, that tag that has been given to East Africa's biggest referral facility, what exactly does that mean? That many individuals trust and believe that this facility from other countries as well is able to deliver quality healthcare.
Yeah.
Now, when it gets to a point that this facility that millions trust and believe in its services is unable to offer that, that is why individuals will leave, go to private facilities, travel outside this country. We see millions of Kenyans leaving this country, go to India to access services. Why? Because the premier institutions that have existed stopped delivering that which they believed in. Now, question is, what are we doing to address that? Because Kenya, as a hub for education, as a hub for healthcare in the region, why are we destroying something that we've struggled so much to build?
Yeah, it's tough conversations to have, but necessary too. So we can see some of your calls coming in and drop it. We'll take those calls now, of course, to then be able to hear from you in the situation in which you are in. Are you ready to move the needle from one place to another? Let us know exactly what the situation is. Always an opportunity for us to then highlight this from county to county. And you know what? Truth be told, if things are looking better, if things are looking up, say it, because development begets development. If you can see that something has worked and it's actually moving from one point to the next, you've made some progress. Guys, we need to hear about this as well, because truly it rains, but it doesn't rain badly all the time. There is a time when things actually are looking up. So if they are, we want to hear from you in terms of that. I want to go to this aspect where we talk about you kind of force the system to work.
Yeah.
And we've seen that. You brought up the John Pombe Magufuli aspect of this earlier, whereby he said, you know what? When something affects you and it affects you negatively and you're in a position to actually do something about that, you will.
You will.
Because now it has hit home. Me, Boni Halwale will forever be
A good example.
All his many children, and we just still don't know how many, they have all gone to schools in the public system. and stop me if I'm wrong, because the man doesn't keep quiet about them. When they have finished, he talks about, my daughter got a B plus, my son got an A minus in this particular school, whether it is in Kiambu, whether it is in Kakamega, wherever it is that he sends his children, they all go to these schools. He's keeping his children in the system. So when he speaks as a legislator and he says, we need to do 1, 2, 3, he's speaking from a position of, I understand because I've been here. You can stop me if I'm wrong. Lest we forget that the majority of people who make the law about fundamental things like health and education, they don't take their sick to the public hospitals.
No, they don't.
They don't take their children to public schools.
No, they don't.
Is it possible, and I'm actually asking, is it possible that I am then able to legislate over something for which I don't really understand how it works?
Because it doesn't make sense. You ought to be the number one ambassador for that which you're selling. You know what I mean? Because today, if I am selling aceto, what did I bring in the morning? Banana bread company, right?
Yeah.
I must taste it to say this one tastes well, and I believe in that which I've produced for me to give it to others. But how is it that I am the chef, but I can't consume the food that I'm cooking? Who do I expect will enjoy this food if I, as the chef, have not tasted it?
Unless we go back to the thing, is that question that you often ask, does anybody really care? Because if you actually taste this thing and say, okay, it has too much sugar, it has too much whatever, then you can tweak it for it to be better.
Exactly.
But if you don't taste it, how will you then test it? Let's hear from you guys this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
What's your name, sir, and where are you calling from?
My name is John Paul. I'm calling you from Kisumu.
From Kisumu. How are things in Kisumu this morning?
We are good.
Talk to me. We're having a conversation and we're trying to remind ourselves about the situation of things so that this can inform our decisions moving forward. Tell us, what do you see? Is it good? Can it be better?
I'm in the health sector.
Okay.
I want to say that in my own perspective, things are not very good, but things seem to be getting better. The challenge we have, especially with SHA, is technology. Technology is a very big challenge because the system keeps going down. I know of several patients who have received help from hospitals, public hospitals.
Yeah.
But there comes a challenge when we do not have, the system just is not responding, so approvals cannot be done. And I think the cabinet secretary needs to handle that.
Okay.
Yes.
So it doesn't look too good from where you are in terms of it getting better. What is the problem? Not enough money, resources, the management of it doesn't look too good. What exactly is wrong from how you see it?
I think the problem is just the management part of it.
Okay.
There is enough money being collected by the government, but then managing how it's going to be used is where the challenge is.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your call, John. Asante Sana, and keep listening in. We hear from others this morning as we take your calls as well. 0732, I beg your pardon, 142650 or 0732142653. What exactly is going on? Lest you forget, Wanda says, you actually have a responsibility to hold yourself with decorum. Yeah. Some of the things that we see is actually, it is not normal, and we should not actually normalize these things, whereby you should be having conversations onto action to actually make things just a little bit better in the country. You actually, when you take that position, you almost drop the right to be quote unquote human like that anymore. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. That we hold ourselves to a very low standard, and that we should actually hold ourselves to a higher standard in some things, because we'll forever be in this place whereby it just rots by the day. So, lest you forget, this morning is the conversation that we're having. We'll take a break in a short while, but before that, we'll take some of your calls. Remember, the number is 0732 142 650, 0732 142 653. That there are things that are happening. A few years ago, during the flood, it rained and there were floods. The
Nzu
bridge collapsed. And unfortunately, as people were, there was the famous case of the bus, that had choir members in that bus, and they perished. We were told that bridge was going to be fixed. We were told that death or that loss was one thing that was never going to be experienced again, which we may not have control over certain things, but at the very least we were told that the bridge was going to be fixed. It is here, literally. Lest we forget, the construction of that bridge is yet to be completed 2 years plus down the line, almost 3. And so I wonder, now that it's been raining, it's very difficult to complete. But there had been long, dry spells whereby that bridge could have been completed. What is the problem? Why? Remember that where this bridge is located is a major channel. It's access point from one side to the other, as is what a bridge would normally do.
Yeah.
So how have people been operating with that construction? They've been diverted, that's for sure. But why is this thing not complete? Lest you forget, people died in a horrific manner. They died. And we're asking the question, why does it take so long to complete such things? Dennis is pondering on that while we take some more calls this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning to you.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm very okay myself.
What's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
I'm in the city.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the city.
Yes, what's your name, sir?
My name is Stephen.
Sorry?
My name is Stephen Juguna.
Okay, yes, and Joguna, tell us, what are your thoughts about what's going on? What should we not forget?
My daughter, I'm watching KTN about the healthy education leadership. What I was saying myself is that's the only thing that I'd like to country.
Okay, we can't seem to hear you very well, Joguna. Maybe you want to move where there is not so much noise and then see if you can give us a call back, please, so that we can hear you better.
What I can say is, according to this is difficult, share is not working. What I mean is that share is not working, because even my friends have attended people going to church to see whether they are asked money, but they are back to their pockets to pay, and yet they are registered in that organization, whatever you call it, institution, whatever you call it. It's not like the other, the first one. Which was,
you're saying SHA is not like NHIF, SHA is not working, lest you forget there are many people.
Yeah, it's not operating, my friend.
Okay, I hear you on that. Thank you very much, Joguna. Taking some more calls this morning, of course. Asante, so I mean, I don't know. You know, this is it for me. I really think that you can do one thing well, as opposed to promising many and doing none at all. You can do one thing. And I think that it would be such a great legacy for anybody to say, you know what, in my administration, and everybody rallied around it, while there were other pots simmering, I took one thing that was an absolute mess, and we turned it around on its head and actually made sure that it functioned. Take your pick. Do whichever you want. Yeah. If you've decided that roads we're going to build and we're going to build them well, that there should be roads connecting everybody across the country in a network so fantastic that nobody had to ask questions about how do you get food from farm to market? How do you get children from the villages to schools? How do you ensure that facilities whereby people needed to access, we have access to them directly? Because we fixed the road network, it is fantastic. It is above reproach. That is the thing that you did. People will applaud you for life. In fact, because of that, they'll say, it is 2 times you're talking about, take 10. You know? But we don't. I really think that we've gotten to the place where we're holding ourselves at such low standards that we can actually open our mouths and say, well, at least we're doing better than country X, because in country X, there are even no roads. I mean,
we've developed the ideology of at leastism, that it is okay to get the bare minimum. Yet remember, these services, it is not a favor.
No, it isn't.
It is a right. It is the work you said you're going to do. It is the work that the Constitution that you swore to tells you to do. You don't do it. It is not a question of tafadhali, no, you must do it. I know we're going for a break, but just Kenyans as well need to realize that the power that you do have is great. That within these 5 years, one problem can be sorted every year. I reckon that if I said I'm handling healthcare within 1 year, I should be able to handle that healthcare. The second year, education. The third year, let me handle this. We are able to do that if we plan and if we really, really want to deliver to the people of Kenya. But do they care?
These are the questions. Let's take that one call before we go to the break. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Morning, I'm Renson.
Yes, Renson, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Taveta.
From Taveta? Yes. Okay. Tell us, what should we not forget? How are things?
I think I want to talk about SHA.
Uh-huh.
Last week I went for eye checkup.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that I cannot get a spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not get spectacles because the SHA is not working.
When they said the SHA was not working, what does that mean? Renson?
Yes.
When they said SHA was not
I
working, what does that mean?
And I'm paying every month and it is not working, so I don't know what the reason.
Okay, when they said it is not working, what does that mean? That you cannot use your card to pay for spectacles, or that any of the money that you needed to pay at the hospital that week, you couldn't do it, you had to pay cash? When you say it was not working, what do you mean?
They said the capitation they are getting is very small.
Mm-hmm.
The capitation is small, so they have to consult so that capitation can be increased.
Okay. And even that, you don't know what amount it's going to be?
I don't know that amount.
So you did not get your spectacles?
I couldn't get it.
And you don't know when they're going to call you back and for how much of the spectacles they will pay for? You don't know?
Yes. I don't know what they told me to leave us with your contact. We'll consult you when we...
All right, I hear you, Renson. It's a difficult one to then have to deal with, especially when you have a need of visual assistance.
Yeah.
It's a tight one. So, in the meantime, you're waiting for a call back from SHA.
Yeah. I'm waiting for a call back from that hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so, was this a private facility?
Yeah, it is a private.
It's a private facility. Okay. Well, I mean, thank you for letting us know. I think it's a bit strange, but I've just taking a note of that because I then want to be able to ask a couple of questions in terms of when they say the capitation that particular hospital is receiving is not enough for them to now give you the care. Then what exactly does that mean? Do you mind giving us? Maybe we can talk to you in a bit. That you will call you back because I'd like to get the name of the hospital if we can do that. All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We'll take one more call. I keep saying we'll take one more call before we go to the break, but we might end up doing this. Hello. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. My name is Isaac Mbalanya.
Yes.
I'm calling from Rwanda, Vihiga.
Okay.
And on concerning health issue here. I think we do have a very big problem.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, for the people, most ladies, women who go to maternity sessions there, if you don't have a SHA card, most of them are not admitted.
Okay.
And I think it's a big problem because most of the people here cannot afford paying the whole year for the SHA.
Mm-hmm.
And most women who go for clinic and pregnancy test and whatever, I think most of them will have a problem when delivering in the near future because they are not being admitted in hospitals. And I think that's a concern for women in Kenya.
So when you say they're not being admitted in hospitals, is this because they're not paid up on the SHA card, or that even if they are paid up, that they say that they cannot then administer the services to them?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And then secondly, when they go there, they find the card cannot, it cannot upload.
Okay.
So they are told to go back until when the network is available.
So it's a network system problem as well.
Yeah, it's a network system as well. And then I think the government should do something about this thing of women, because women are suffering. Most of them now will be delivering from home, and that's very risky.
It is very risky.
I don't know how you'll do it, but I think it should be addressed, and people are not addressing it because women are going through a lot.
I hear you, brother, but thank you for highlighting that, because, oftentimes we say some of these things and we just say it in passing, like, oh, SHA is not working. But when we look at the nitty-gritty of this thing, and you tell us, for example, that women who have come to be delivered of their babies are actually being turned away, and then they have to deliver at home in some cases. We also know that maternal death is still extremely high in this country. So we need to make the connection between this refusal of women to deliver at hospital, having to go home and deliver where we know it already poses a risk. Because guess what? This giving birth is actually, it is not... it is not an easy process, and that you need the assistance when it's happening. So thank you for highlighting that. Another thing that we are going to take up as well, because we'll get to the nitty-gritty as opposed to just making the blanket statement that SHA is not working. It is not working for women who are going to be delivered of their babies because of certain reasons, right?
Yes.
But I want to thank you very much for doing that and helping us out with that this morning. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, let's take some other calls this morning. EVEU, and that break might not happen just now. Let's hear from some more Kenyans at this point. Tafadhali. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
My name is Toff from Eldoret.
Yes.
I'm hearing you very well, loud and clear. I'm a good follower of Spice FM.
Thank you, Toll. Good morning.
Lest you forget that NSSF, where I used to work before, did not pay us the interest 17% they declared for 2024-2025. Yet our money participated in the same growth. When you ask them, they say that we did not have any interest for them. 2, lest you forget, Fuliza deducted us money for a period February 20th, 26th February to 20th March.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
Forgotten that we should actually be reminding ourselves about, and I know that some of these are coming in our comments here. Somebody said in Busia, unfortunate if you look at the health system, because you guys, it's easy, and I admit it's easy to get on the political bandwagon and say SHA is not working. But one thing that we're going to do here is that we're going to talk about the details around why we say that SHA is not working. Already we've knocked one down this morning. Pregnant women who are going to hospitals, even if we're going to zero it down to Vihiga, that pregnant women who are going to, and it's not, you're not going for your prenatal, you're going to deliver, and you are turned away because it is not working. Now remember, this is coming off from the same country where you had a program like Linda Mama, where you went to hospital with your ID, and that was enough to treat you in hospital. They send you back with your supplies of what you need for a certain period of time before you then go off on your own. Pregnant woman to be delivered of a baby is turned away. And we've also seen that maternal death is on the rise again in Kenya. Make the connection, people. Make the connection, because people have accused people of saying that you make blanket statements and say SHA is not working well. This is what we're going to do, lest you forget. We are giving the nitty-gritty. Somebody else telling us, Bungoma, there are no vaccines. Now, you know how vital that is for babies when they're born, for children. When we talk about medication at hospital, when you go to the hospital and the doctor has diagnosed you and says you must go get this medication, in the hospital it doesn't exist. It should be covered under that.
Under SHA.
Doesn't work. But they tell you, do what? Go across the street to that pharmacy, which we then find out is even owned by a doctor. Let's take some more calls this morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. What's your name?
My name is Marcellus from Kajiado.
From Kajiado. Talk to us. You can tell us about Kajiado. What's going on here this morning, sir?
I'm calling because first I have two issues with this government. Number one, SHA, and number two, the higher education.
Mm-hmm.
This government was handed over a higher education system
Yes.
that was working both in public and private institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Students are struggling with student loans. They cannot get it. They cannot even access it. And then the other unit cost that they are giving is also not enough. So I keep on wondering, the money that was there before, what happened to it? The budgets that were there, which were working, what happened to them? Number two, SHA is total mess. When you tell me that I have to get a referral from a low-level hospital to get to the next level and the next level and the next level for to serve me, when I go to the low-level facility, which don't even have gloves, then what am I doing?
I get it.
Number two, something else. When you talk of, you go to a hospital and they tell you that SHA cancer will be covered from a certain level. Why can't you offer me the basic service in the basic facility to take care of preventive measures before I get this cancer to level 3 for SHA to pay? Why can't you give me a better basic health care service instead of waiting for me to get cancer and get to level 3 for SHA to cover it? Now, I know someone who was told that the symptoms of cancer are not taken care of at the low level. They have to, according to SHA, they have to wait until it is level something for them to be able to pay. That is nonsense.
It is.
Please, the government need to organize themselves when it comes to issues of SHA and higher education. Thank you.
Brother, thank you so much for calling this morning. And this is it, that we're going to get into the details. Even we can go as far as to say, yeah, okay, fine, we understand SHA is not working, but this is what folks, and this is, I mean, Kenyans have a resilient spirit that I've not seen in many places. True. Whereby you say, okay, fine, you said that we're telling you SHA is not working and you're not hearing what we're saying. Now we are telling you that cancer patients are being told that let's wait until your cancer gets a little bit worse and then we can treat it at this level. I mean, what witchcraft is this that we're talking about? And then you say that the drugs that you need are not available at this hospital, that you then need to go to the pharmacy. The point of me using my card is because I don't have the money to spend to go and get treatment. If I did, I wouldn't bother with this thing. That Kenyans are operating in spite of a system. That's a very dangerous position. In spite of you, I am going to operate. Very, very dangerous. You don't want it to get beyond that. And so what people are telling us this morning is the nitty-gritty. Nobody is saying SHA is not working. People are saying SHA is not working because of 1, 2, 3. And it has gotten to that point where people are going to give you the details. We're reminded of a gentleman who called and had to tell us how he lies about his symptoms so that he doesn't have to be treated. Interestingly enough, we did follow up on that, had a word with him, and that they check his records. And it turns out, indeed, the man is up to date. He still is paid up until November. The glitch at the facility where he went to get his medication was that the system had not shown that he was beyond January. So you can imagine the torment that he's been. So now that is being reset for him to now go back and get treatment, so that he doesn't have to lie about his symptoms, so that the doctor will not prescribe something for which he does not have money. That's where we are.
You know, when you talk about healthcare and SHA as is, all it's supposed to do is to restore dignity in society. That I am contributing in this SHA so that when it comes to a point where I am unable to afford the millions, that SHA will protect me and save that dignity that I do have. Because this is a man who at the point lied because he wanted to preserve his dignity, because he did not have the extra funds to spend and he did not want to admit that. So SHA is beyond having that card and showing that I'm paid up. It is this card coming through for you at the point when you need it the most.
Exactly.
And you see, when you talk about this, we all have our personal stories. Personally, Mama is going through treatment. But I will tell you for a fact, every other month, we have to pay out of pocket for her to get medication because this card is not working.
They won't pay.
It's not working. You're just being told there is no medication. It is too expensive. We do not, SHA does not cover this. Then why are we paying for that card? It is as personal as that. When you have parents, when you have your loved ones who you believe in this system that you've paid for it, you go to a public facility, you're told you have to wait for 6-7 months. Yet this is someone who needs immediate surgery for their life to be restored. You're told you have to wait for 6 months. Life will not wait for 6 months.
Yeah, it won't.
It won't wait. That pain will not wait for 6 months. When a cancer patient is on palliative care, they're dealing with pain. You're telling me that when I go to hospital, this pain will have to wait for 3-4 months for us to deal with it.
Yes.
No.
As ridiculous as it sounds.
Ridiculous as it sounds.
That's what people are being told.
You cannot postpone pain.
You can't. A baby is coming. You're not going to postpone that process. Something needs to be done. And, Dennis, even as you say this, the process and the solution must be apolitical.
Yes.
That unfortunately what we do is that we politicize it. That we go to rallies and we say, wangapi ambayo wanasema SHA inafanya, SHA inafanya, SHA inafanya. I mean, for God's sake. Ambayo wanasema SHA inafanya, SHA haifanyi, SHA haifanyi, then we raise our hand.
Oh.
What are we talking about? A woman is at the front door of a hospital. She wants to deliver her baby and you're telling her, this is what we're talking about. It has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do about a system that operates and works properly. Because the number one, the people, Jameni, the people, that if things are not working for the people, can you actually say that they are working? And I keep saying, you don't have any business. All these grand and lofty plans, secure your people first. That these processes which you've been put in place to essentially safeguard, if they are not working, guess what? Neither are you. If they are not working, you are not working.
And the best people who will tell you if it's working or not are the consumers of this product. When Kenyans tell you it is not working, I had to lie. I went to hospital, I did not get treated. That I am a pregnant woman, I went to hospital, I was turned away. That mortality rate and the problem in the country is high because women are being turned away. Listen to the consumers of this, because let's face it, the political class, policymakers do not consume these services.
You're right.
They are unaware of what Kenyans are going through.
And you know what? I just had a thought that it's very possible that some people who wanted to play on the political arena came about and lied and said SHA is not working, when in an instant it might have actually worked. Or that somebody came about and lied and said SHA is working when it actually didn't work. But you know who doesn't lie? The woman who is delivering her baby and has been turned away at the door. The person who's had to have surgery costing 900,000 shillings and SHA pays 14,000.
True.
Or who pays for your bed. The person who has gone to hospital and they've been diagnosed and they need to get medication and they can't get it at the hospital and they've been told that they have to go look for money to get the medicine, life-saving medicine, and they can't get it. Those are the people who don't lie. They don't lie for a political side. They don't lie to be seen as though they are favoring one side or the other.
No.
They don't lie. No. They're telling the truth. The person who has gone to pay their premiums and then you tell them that they cannot access care, that's the person who's not lying. And if so many people have to come up with, who have to tell their stories in that manner, then I think we must depoliticize this thing. It is not about the CS standing up and saying that I don't own a private hospital. Who cares?
Who cares?
It is about this woman who's delivering her baby, who she's been told cannot come. It's about this person who's been told that you wait until your cancer gets worse and then maybe we can operate. Or wait until you lose your hearing completely, then we can say that this case is severe and then we can treat you at this level for critical care. Can you imagine? Where, interestingly enough, you've paid. I mean, the ridiculousness of it is what makes you then want to say, come on, what are we doing? So this is what we're doing. We're looking into the nitty-gritty of things this morning. We'll get some more calls coming in this morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, let's take another one. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Dennis, and you guys are doing a good job. Kudos to what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's good to inform the nations on what we are going through, lest we forget. I have a suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
Every day we wake up to billions being misplaced, not known where they're gone to, in people's pockets. Is there a possibility to run a tally on all these monies? Because I have lost track of how much we're losing, because that's going to be the cost. And that is going to be for all of us, lest we forget that bill and what it has cost us for us to put this government in place. I think all of us Kenyans will then wake up and realize the cost, what it has costed us to put this government in place. If you could have a tally where we see all the money, whatever it is, that has been misplaced, misused, not known, withdrawn, whatever it is, so that we have a total figure. Because every day it's a billions. What is the sum that we're talking about now? And I would like to suggest if you could put the running tally on your screen every day, so we see the costs, and keep adding one to it, so we see the costs. Because I think this is responsible reporting, so that each and every Kenyan knows when you go to that ballot box, that is the cost that we're bringing back, and we're going to add on to that. If we want a clean slate, let's get a clean slate. If we want to keep the running tally that has been, then we'll go and vote for the current government. I think that will be responsible reporting. I'd like to suggest that if we could have a tally in our newspapers every day, which is adding on, whatever it is. If we wake up today and it's 11 billion, that's additional, let's add it onto that bill, so that every Kenyan wakes up and sees the cost of what this government is costing us, what the people who gave this job are costing us. As hiring managers, we cannot afford to have our bottom line being compromised into the trillions. It is not fair. Lest we forget, let's put that on so that each and every Kenyan knows what it costs us to have this government. Thank you, guys. You're doing a good job. Have a wonderful Easter.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
And a wonderful Easter to you as well. That's a brilliant of an idea. And I think that we can actually do that so that we are aware every day of where it is that we actually are, so that we never do forget. Thank you very much for that.
Exactly. Let's have it front and center of all our discussions, because we need to know what the price is. We talk about $1 billion today, tomorrow. What is it costing us? What's the bottom line? I've lost track. Let's talk about if it's whatever trillion. Today we wake up, it's this trillion. Tomorrow it's going to this trillion. If someone comes on your screen and explains and we take out $1 trillion there, it's fine. We'll remove it. But so long as we don't have a response as responsible Kenyans and communicators, let's put it on that. Yes, let's put it there until they show up. Let them come running there to come and defend those amounts. And let's be sure to put who is responsible. If it's if it's the ministry or whatever it is, let's put it there. So that everybody, let's start holding them to account, because these people are playing with us. They are playing with us and they do not care, including our president. I'd like him to show up and explain that bottom line trillion that we see on the daily papers and on the screens every day. It's his responsibility. He's accountable to all of us as Kenyans. And that should not be the price that we put him there for. We did not put him there to run a bill. We put him there to address issues. And I like the fact that you always highlight, pick 2 issues. Fight for those causes. At least we'll be able to remember your legacy for those causes. What legacy are we going to remember him for? The trillions that we are seeing every day that are being taken. That's what we're going to remember him for. And that's what we want every Kenyan to be informed about. Let them know that bottom line, what it is. So that when we go to the ballot boxes, come 2027, when you're voting for your current president, you know the trillions that he's coming with, which is going to be added on to that tally. Absolutely. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, sister. Appreciate that as well. And thank you for calling in this morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there it is.
There it is.
No need to call it something else. That's exactly what it is. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.